I'm gonna try my best to get through this and not break down or say something dumb. I think this announcement was long overdue anyway, because I've continually let myself and other people down, widened the scope to be so far beyond my reach. I'm not a professional filmmaker. I continually try to pretend like I am. This was important to me, and it's just been one stressful ball of just crap. All that time has just been thrown out the window, so I owe the most sincere apologies to you people. This movie has been the bane of my stress for the past 3 years, more than school, more than most things. I don't want that to be the case. I want this to be fun. So, Episode 3 of Mortars and Mortars in general are cancelled. I don't think I really need to explain too much as to why, because throughout the past year I have mentioned that Mortars has kind of become an uncertain project. There's a bunch of different reasons. Some technical, some thematic, some personal. But, at the end of the day, the specifics don't really matter. But I do realize that a lot of people have been watching these and wondering about future episodes. And for those people that are wondering, I'm happy to talk a little bit more about why. Mainly, though, this is just meant to be the finale to my look back saga. If my Timeless Heroes video was the ending, then this would technically be considered the epilogue, because Mortars was, among many things, the last nail in the weird decisions coffin. And I think it's about time that I buried it. Alright. Mortars started as a movie. It was going to be my next big feature project after Timeless Heroes. It starred me and my friend Gianna as the second main character, Diana. The story was about the leader of this team of hell creatures that make deals with people, and the leader's accidental recruitment of a new member. That's Diana. The whole movie was about her learning to embrace life in the present tense as a person with suicidal ideation, and my character Ethan learning to embrace life in the past tense as a character that's already dead but feels like he missed out on a life. So there were themes as far back as 2012 when I started writing the thing. But they weren't intentional themes because Mortars wasn't purposefully a work that was trying to say anything. Fresh off the excitement of trying and failing to make a movie that was very character-centric, I dove into another character-centric piece. The first thing I developed down to the detail was who these characters were, mainly Ethan and Diana, because the movie was about them, their relationship, and what they learned from each other. Big step for me in the storytelling department, I'm not going to deny that, but it also kind of ended up showing me that I didn't learn as much from Timeless Heroes as I thought. I definitely learned about the value of unfinished projects, but I didn't really bother changing anything about my approach to making movies as a result of the problems with the last one. Mortars still had a sizable cast of characters, it was still a big VFX-heavy project, a lot of deep lore and convolutedness making the script really hard to adapt, and locations that were pretty out of my reach given the minimal to non-existent budget I had. And then, about a third of the way through filming the thing, my hard drive crashed. A good 90% of the footage that I filmed just gone. Thank God for that. I was sad, obviously, like I was when Timeless Heroes was cancelled. I think that after enough times of making the same shitty mistake, you just feel like you're incapable. But I already had a plan to keep Mortars as a concept alive, and that plan involved just one thing. I'm not making a movie, I'm making a series, because doing a movie about Mortars is just too big, it's too grand. I started the Mortars series, with its first episode released exactly 4 months after I announced the cancellation of the feature. The story of the episode was stripped of all the deep lore and focused on all the main stuff I thought was so important about this group. Deals, helping people, and a little action. Yeah. Point being, I did learn something from the Mortars feature, and it was that, embracing minimalism and working within your means can still produce something decent to pretty good. I still work minimally today, and it's becoming less and less because I don't have the means to make more complex stuff, and more because I really like the simplicity of minimalism. The Mortars series was my gateway to that kind of creating. A year after the first episode, Deal, I completed and released episode 2, Afterlife, starring Sean and Nick as the character Sham, whose voice is just wow.
What?
The episode has some heavy themes, but again, it's meant to really push Ethan's character over everything else, so nowadays it's less effective to me than it was when I first made it. I had 6 episodes written for a first and possibly only season of the series, and not long after I finished episode 2, I realized I hit a brick wall, because I thought I was being super minimal, but in reality I was just hiding all the convolutedness under a minimalist surface plot. And by the time figuring out episode 3 came around, where I needed like big makeup work and an expensive location and an expanded cast, I was pretty much just doing the Mortars movie over again. So, here we are. I'm gonna cancel Mortars. Mortars is not gonna be happening anymore. Alright, so, how you doing this morning? I can't do that. I can't do that. What's the line? I really want to take a second to just stress the importance of this project to me personally, and this is going to come off as really non-academic and trying really hard to be authentic, which, that's the price I'm paying for trying to kind of keep a record of all this stuff in a public setting. I acknowledge that. The video has a script. I'm not fooling anybody. But that said, most of my high school and early college experience involved countless doodles of Mortars characters and comic strips and other drawings. I just found their design so fun I could easily say I drew several times more Mortars stuff than I did Timeless Hero stuff throughout my entire childhood. Mortars was this obnoxiously passionate project that made less and less sense to me as the years went on, but I only became more and more enamored with as that time passed. I've written early drafts of a novel centered around it. I've created props that embellish on the senseless lore. I cannot count the amount of promotional graphic art I made centered around the Mortars. It was, up until the release of this video that you are watching right now, my last piece of immature filmmaking. And that's not to say I'm not going to learn and grow and, figure out more stuff along the way, because of course I am, but Mortars was me clinging on to stuff that I should have realized weren't me as far back as the project that came before it. I make other stuff now in a better way, and I like making that stuff more now, is I think what I've been trying to say in this 3-page long essay. Jesus. So as we lower this thing into the ground, I just want to thank everybody involved with it, especially Gianna, who brought the character Diana to life in a way that it is hard to distinguish the two of you from time to time, and I mean that in a completely complimentary way. Gianna, thank you for always reading and listening to my middle of the night messages with new character ideas for Diana. You were always super receptive of it, and the ideas that you had to make her even better were always hella appreciated. I also want to thank Leo, who scored Mortars with some amazing music, most of which you've actually been listening to throughout this video. Leo is super talented, and he's actually scored a lot of the other projects that I've made after Mortars, including Sinking and my most recent film as of this recording, Down the Block. Our collaborations first actually started with Mortars, so thank you, Leo, for helping see this whole thing through to its kind of end. Looking back is fun, and I have a feeling that in a few years' time that I'll maybe revisit some of the stuff I was making in these more recent years with a different lens. Or maybe I'll stop being so outwardly self-indulgent and not write long essays dissecting my own stuff because it's a little cringy. My only defense is that I don't know a whole lot, but one thing I can say I know with certainty is myself. And maybe a little self-awareness can only be helpful. And I mean, you know what? Even if you don't think so, let's just agree to disagree. Deal?